have a activity to kind of help you all to just kind of think and reflect about your core identity and how you can bring that forward when you're thinking about your personal branding journey. Um, I believe in rest, so we'll have a short break, and then we'll jump back into a model around. We'll talk about protecting your essence, right? So there are a lot of demands on our lives, and one of the ways that we kind of see ourselves getting out of alignment with that core self is with people pressing on our boundaries. I don't know about y'all, but if y'all heard that boundaries word, right? It's so, so, so important. And sometimes we don't recognize the ways that we're getting pushed out of alignment with that authentic self. And so I just wanted us to take some time to really tap in and see just the different ways that people be really trying it. You know, people really try it. Systems really try it. Our jobs really try it. And so you can kind of get ahead and see the different ways that they can be tested. And then lastly, I want to walk us through the opportunity, as we go through and kind of discover or rediscover um, and get a chance to name our core selves. And as we also think about the ways that we're protecting ourselves, I want to offer us a chance to actually develop a value statement. So, a value statement that will help us kind of think about the way we're showing up in different spaces and guide our actions and our choices as we move about the world and in our families and our communities. So that's what I have in store for y'all today. Is there anything else folks are looking for in this session? Is that okay? It works for y'all? Okay, yeah. Well, we just gonna move right along. Okay. Um, so I want to kick us off with a short activity. So I'm sure you all have done this before. It's a think, pair, share, and so this is how we're gonna softly kind of transition into this conversation about personal branding. And so I would invite somebody to kind of read this prompt. Anybody want to come off mute?
I can read it.
Okay, please.
So think, pair, share. Think back to a moment or time in your life when you felt the most free. Describe this in terms of your mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual state.
Thank you. Does that feel clear? Are folks able to kind of grab that moment, take a moment and kind of like grab that moment in your mind? It can be a moment, it can be like it says a time in your life. It might be right now, which is awesome. Um, and just think back to the time when you felt the most free. We'll take about a minute.
What happened? Hello, I'm training, guys.
Mommy,
I'm on a training. Go meet daddy, please. I'm on
we
a.
found a $2 camera. Can we buy it?
When I'm done, yes, we'll come
Can
back.
Daddy order it?
Yeah, you can, daddy. Yeah.
It's a direct camera.
Okay, good.
progress.
Okay, we'll take about another 30 seconds or so. And so for this next part, I'm gonna have y'all break up into pairs to share. And if you're still writing, please take your time. I see Miss Sylvia still working that pen, so take your time. We got. I'm gonna break you all up into pairs. And as you get in your groups, I want y'all to share. Share your moment. And think about what this moment or time in your life says about the core of who you are. Okay. It's gonna be random. There might be one group of three. Unless Brianna, will you be in a group?
No, I'm gonna say you don't have to put me in a group. That way it's even for them. And so,
It would be even if you were in a group. So there's 8 in here. 1, 2.
Linda's on the screen twice.
Oh, okay. All right, gotcha.
Yeah, I would say put 2 and maybe a group of 3. That way,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. All right. So we'll do 2 breakouts. Okay. Okay. Cool. All right. I'm gonna open rooms, and we'll take about 6:55 now. So we'll take about 8 minutes. And I'll bring y'all back. So kind of like trade off, like maybe 4 minutes per person. And I'll bring you back in the room at 7:03. Okay, I know it's an odd time, but I'll bring y'all back in, okay?
Hi, guys. How was your day? How you guys doing? I'm on a training. I'm on a personal development training. This is not work related. Just want to upgrade myself. So it's a paid training that I'm taking right now. That I've been, if you follow my video, I've been on a training for the past 5 weeks now. It's on leadership. Just me. How you guys doing? Hi. Hi.
I think she just moved me to another room.
I thought I was the only person here.
Yeah, so she just moved me to your room.
Okay, how you doing?
I'm doing great. My name is Chanel. How are you?
I'm Rachel. I'm good. I've not been seeing you. Like, I know I saw you in person the last time at the venue. The very first day.
Like last year?
No, man. The first day of the training I think I.
Yes, yes. Yes, I was the first day. I didn't go in person. I was online.
Oh, I've not met your face. That's why I was looking at you. I said,
Yeah.
I've not seen his face.
Yeah, the first day I was online, because I wasn't able to make it. And then the second time I was not on because my grandmother passed. And then the
Oh,
third
I'm
time I was
sorry.
on,
It's
it's a
not.
lot.
It's not easy. It's a lot. I never thought this training would take this long. Like when I
Yeah,
first registered, I thought it's just one time you get a certificate and that's it.
yeah,
Well, it's a good. The training is well packaged.
yes.
For the price.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you currently have a chakra center?
No man. I hope to have one in the future.
Yes,
Um,
me too.
yeah. So I'm a student and a teacher. So I just want to have more skills, more
Yes,
information before I dive into it, or before I graduate because I'm studying early childhood education.
yes.
So I need to kind of finish up my degree to be able to gain a whole lot of experience.
Right.
Yeah, so this training tool has provided me a whole lot of information.
Yes, me too. Me
Yeah,
too. Me too. I enjoy it. I
of
went to one
course.
last year too. So I live like an hour and 30 minutes away. So it's a lot harder for me to get there.
Okay.
I was glad that, we were able to do it, via Zoom this time
Mhm.
and stuff. I have worked in a couple of childcare facilities, as hiring staff and then working in the infant classroom in like the 2 year olds and 3 year olds classrooms. I've done that before
Mhm.
stuff. So I'm excited. I'm looking to open up a center within the next 6 months to a year. So I've been just trying to get as much knowledge and do as much research and things like that. I took all my classes and got all my certifications and things that I needed, like BSAC and different things that I want my employees to have. I want to have like the fire safety trainings and things like that.
So you said between 6 months to 1 year you'll be opening one.
Yes. Mhm.
Okay. Like I was trying to say the last time in the training,
Mhm.
how I started childcare, early childcare practice. I was early childcare was not my first degree. I had a
Mhm.
degree in science.
Yeah.
So I have a degree in science. So I was because I was an international student, I needed to kind of learn the fundamentals of childcare.
Yeah. So
So
are you doing like a minor or are you doing a separate degree?
this is a degree. This is a separate. It's a second degree. Let me put it that way.
Second degree.
It's a
Okay.
second degree. Yes. So I took it as a second degree, and should the case you want to hire, I want to share like experience with you, because you are opening soon, and me, I'm gonna learn from you also how it went. We have this body, a body of students
Okay.
who are students, but they are also apprentice teachers. I don't know
Mhm.
if you're getting me. They put in. That's how I started, but right now I'm no longer such student. I've graduated to another
Okay.
to a higher level. So I'm entering the pre-K teachers right now.
Okay.
So I'm the level of pre-K teacher. So to the
Yeah.
case, yeah, to the case you want to kind of, every beginning need to start small, but for
Yeah.
you to get those people because what I've seen, I've heard from those other people, those other business owners, apart from
Mhm.
you, I've heard them talk how to get qualified teachers at the very beginning,
Right.
who will put laws into practice, because what I hear them say, it's like they're just doing the work all by themselves.
Right. Right.
You
Right.
understand me? So this set of apprentice teachers, they are being kind of um
Mhm.
they are being mentored.
Mhm.
They are
I'm
being
sorry, my
mentored.
daughter.
They have mentors that they
Yeah.
report to, that ensures they do what they ought to do. I don't know if you're getting me.
Right.
they do what the law says they should do. They put the law in practice.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so that the owner will end up doing the work
Right, all by herself.
all
Yeah.
by herself or himself, because they are afraid not to lose their customers, or not to.
Oh, they're gonna close. Oh, okay. Okay. So
So
yeah, here we are.
yeah, we done with that. So what I'm talking about?
So for the mental, let's be fast. So for mental, a time that I was free, was when I used to be a flight attendant. I used to travel the world a lot. I felt a lot free. Then I didn't have a lot of bills as much. I didn't have kids. I was more physically active. And emotionally, it was just I was only thinking about myself, because I didn't have any kids at all.
I think that's equally what applies to me, because right now I have kids, I have family. I don't have free time. So basically,
Right.
when I was really free, I had those emotions in place, like
Right.
intact, was when I was single.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah.
when I had no kids. So
Yeah.
basically, that's it. That is it for me. When I saw the question, I said that is my own take home.
Right.
Recording in progress.
Okay, ladies. So how was that? How was that activity?
It's great.
It was good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, good.
How was it easy? How was it trying to like retrieve that memory? Like what kind of stuff did y'all come up with? I see big smiles.
Mine popped up immediately.
Okay.
Mine was when I got divorced, and I told them about how free I felt.
Mm,
I felt like it was God, me, my kids, my family, and that I could conquer the world, and that I just had a new, fresh beginning.
Touche. I love it. I love it. And what did that did? Is there anything that you pulled from that experience that kind of told you about your core self? Like, what did you kind of learn from that experience?
Um, it taught me that I could actually overcome anything through Christ Jesus, and I could endure all things through Him. And it proved to me how strong I was.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh, that's
Yep.
great. I love that. Okay. Who else? Anybody else want to share? Um, you can share or not share your moment. But definitely want to hear like what was the core nugget from that.
I want to share. I met she may, I don't know her name. It was for the first time. I've not seen her face in the training, so it was opportunity to just have her in my group. So I get to talk about ourselves, and went back to the question of the day. For me, when I had my free time was when I was really single. Right now, I have a bunch of kids. I have a husband, and I have a job. I'm a student. I have a special need. So it was only really when I was single I had all this every other thing balance. Right now I'm like kind of struggling to balance everything, like work life balance. Um, I'm struggling to balance it right now.
That's understandable. That's completely understandable. Is there anything about single Rachel that really reflects kind of like the core of who you are, or what you hope to bring to the world?
Well, when I was single, I think my singleness brought me to where I am today. Like that focus to get these things that I have right now. That focus to get back to school. Even as I have kids right now, I'm still in school. So that determination to do better was what I was looking at. The future was what I was looking at. Um, the drive was there,
Yeah,
that I'm gonna do this in the nearest time, and it's happening now.
I love that. I love that. You was planting seeds. I love that you were able to kind of like identify that it's your goal. You're being goal oriented. That really kind of sets you up for where you are now. So
Yeah.
that's awesome. And I know it's hard to kind of hold that
Yeah.
That's awesome. Thank you, Miss Rachel.
Thank you.
I think we got time for maybe one more person. I want to share.
Okay, I'll share. Unless someone else, because I can't see if someone else chimed in.
You jumped in first, Miss Linda.
Okay, alrighty. If I may just very quickly to say, I said it to our group that I was talking when you were asking the introduction, because I didn't realize I was on mute. So
Oh.
that's why, and I was at the airport.
Oh, okay.
So that's why lots is going on. But anyway, I had shared with my group that I was free when in 1997.
Oh, that's right. You got the dates. Okay.
Oh yeah, oh, get that. When I resigned from the Durham Public School System, and I after 22 years, 'cause I started in 1975, and the school system when I started, it was still Durham City, Durham County, and I was a part of the merger. And it was not a pretty sight, I can tell you that. But anyway, it was not good. Um, I remember one day, one Sunday, I had prayed and I said, God, because I was a principal then, and I said, okay, all right, Lord, I need you to help me through because this is not working well at all. And I said in church, as I shared with my peers, that the scripture, the verse was when the disciples said to Jesus, well, what happens if people won't listen to us? I'm just paraphrasing all this. It says, shake the dust off your shoes. And I sat right there in church and said, that is it. That's it. That was my cue. When I went to Shaw, I was driving down 40, and the song Daryl Coley, It's Your Time, was playing while I was driving down the highway. And I was literally able to see the green trees. I felt free.
I love it.
And then the next 25, so it's been 50 years now, as I retired after 50 years. I'm going to have to, because there's going to be an echo.
Okay. No problem. So thank you for sharing that, Miss Linda. And some of the things that I'm picking up from your share is around discernment and just knowing when it's your time, when it's time to move along, as being something that is something that you're able to kind of pick up the signs and symbols and know when it's your time to move on. And then I'm also hearing self-love, like you love yourself enough to make the move that you need to make in order to actualize a better life for yourself or a new life for yourself. So that's awesome. I'm picking that up from other ladies as well. And I love what you all are bringing, and I definitely think that, especially when it comes to personal branding, that your lived experiences are going to be the most authentic to you. You have the closest proximity to it, and those are the core. Those kind of shape your core values and make you somebody that those are the experiences that make you an expert, right? So it's not always going to be a degree. It's not going to be all these letters and stuff behind you. It's going to be your lived experience that's going to make you an expert, right? And so as we talk about, when we think about, what is personal branding, like I'm curious what kind of comes to mind when you all think about this. And if you have any experience with personal branding that you want to share. Somebody was trying to.
And I guess,
Is that you, Miss Ebony?
can you hear me?
I think so.
Yeah,
They got
can
the
you hear
mute
me?
button on, but I hear. But yeah, I hear you.
Okay.
So for me, when I just think about personal brand, I just think about branding in general. You know, like if they're if got a 2-year-old, they know what the McDonald's arch look like. They know, what symbols are. And so I guess with that personal branding, for somebody to know who I am, for when they see my name, they think about childcare. They think about, I guess that's for me. That's what I'm thinking. Personal branding would be that. When they see you, they think about childcare. They think of what you're special at, what's your expertise.
Mhm. Mhm. Absolutely. Awesome. Yeah, and I would agree with that. I was doing a little just a little research on, personal branding and what folks are saying about personal branding. So I came up with some, just little pinpoints about, when we think about it and how we're shaping it. Um, and then I wanted to take a step back and I was just like, well, what is the actual definition of each of these words, right? So when we think about personal, um, the definition is of affecting or belonging to a particular person rather than to anyone else, right? So that just kind of speaks to your uniqueness, your niche, um, your personality, right? Like you as a being. And then I looked up branding, which was a little funny to me. Funny but not, because it takes me to a place. But the action of marketing with a branding eye, right? And what that made me think was like the permanence of a brand and how it follows you everywhere. Like Ebony mentioned, when you see those golden arches, you already know what's up. You know it's McDonald's. If anybody else tried to put an arch out there, like when you watch Coming to America, right? He's got the golden arches, but you like, that's McDonald's, right? So it's something that follows you, right? Very much like your core self, your authentic self, that also follows you. That also follows you, whether we're aware of it or not. And so when it comes to our personal branding, what I'm finding and what I'm learning myself is that the more authentic it is to you, the easier it is to keep in alignment with that, right? Because people are going to be looking for a way or a reason to find you out of alignment with what you said you was and who you said you are. Um, and so some of the kind of points that I found around personal branding was that it's how others see you. It's your reputation. Um, Something that I call your nest. Like I feel like your Chanel-ness, right? Your ebony-ness. So your nest is those traits that are unique to you. Like what makes you you. Um, Another point was something, promoting your values. Your personal branding promotes your values and what it is that you're projecting and bringing into the world. And then it's also how you see yourself, right? So it's the intersection of like all these things and the ways that you want to be perceived in the world, and want to show up in different spaces. And so I'm curious, have folks already kind of like identified your personal branding and like who you feel like you are, um, when it comes to your when it comes to your childcare business, your business, and how it kind of reflects who you really are at your core. You feel like they match up? They're pretty aligned for you. That's awesome. That's good. You've made it a whole lot easier on yourself. They're trying to make it, or try to put up a false image that's going to be hard to make. So that's awesome. And I'm sure a lot of your childcare business came from your own experiences, right? Like either as caregivers, as mothers, or leaders in the community. I'm sure. So it's awesome that y'all are already kind of finding that alignment there. And so I just wanted to share this as a way as we're thinking about really going deep into our personal branding, especially when you go back and think about your freest self, your authentic self, what you can use from that to bring into your branding journey and your best self. So let me check in real quick because I know we don't have the most time. Would y'all like to take a quick break? I got room for maybe, I had 5 minutes, but maybe a 3-minute break in here. Would that be helpful?
No,
You're
I
good?
don't think we need to
Then
break.
I'm
Yeah, I
good.
think we good.
Y'all good to
They
go?
they
Okay.
used to going the whole time.
Okay, all right, no problem. We can do that too. All right, I'm ready. Cool. So, is there any other questions or thoughts about personal branding before I move on? And again, really just focusing in on that core self. Yeah. All right, cool. So y'all got it. That's what's up. So now I wanted to transition into something that I'm really passionate about, which is protecting our core selves, right? From protecting um, our authentic ways of being. When we talk about like being, having a particular, just having a set of strengths that you were able to pull, tap into, Miss Sylvia, when you needed to, but I'm sure it's always there. Um, that focus and drive that you have, Rachel, how you're protecting that in your day-to-day life is linked to that discernment and that self-love that you have. Like, how are we protecting that in our day-to-day lives? And so I wanted to start with a an introduction just around, so a model that I'm often using is, sorry y'all, I lost y'all. Okay. So a model that I use a lot is a holistic model that touches on our mental, emotional, our physical, and spiritual self. And so I would invite somebody to read. You can either read the whole slide, you can read part of them, somebody else can pick up, but just give us some short definitions on each aspect of our wellness.
We can't. I can't see the slide, Taylor.
Oh, oops, sorry. Okay, can y'all see now? Okay, awesome. Thank you, Brianna. Um, so essentially, there's four dimensions of our reality, our wellness, our being. That includes our mental, our emotional, our physical, and our spiritual self. So when I asked y'all earlier to kind of like think about those, those that moment of freedom in your life, I want us to understand that these four dimensions are operating all the time, and they're interconnected. So when one is out of balance, it can pretty much throw the whole thing off, right? So when we're talking about like that alignment and being effective in our different ventures, we want to make sure that we have these four different dimensions in alignment with each other, that they're feeding off of each other in a positive way. And so when we think about our mental life, we're talking about our thought life. We're thinking about our self perceptions and our patterns. Um, when it comes to that emotional dimension, we're talking about our freedom from negative emotions of the past, which making sure that we have ways of being resilient and recovering, because we all have had different traumas and challenging experiences in our lives, but making sure that we're kind of keeping them in their place and not letting them dominate our emotional lives. And so there's also the other ways this emotional life kind of shows up is in our ability to love and to receive love, and our ability to process and release emotions in a healthy way. So one of the biggest ways that we kind of see our emotional life reflected back to us is in our relationships. So how are we, how how nourishing are the relationships in our lives? When it comes to the physical, a lot of times we just think about our diet and our nutrition or our exercise patterns, but our physical life also has to do with our lived environment, like our physical reality. So when it comes down to do you have your basic needs met? Do you have that comes to like your financial life, when it comes to your living situation, all of those things come into play when it comes to your physical reality. And then lastly, the common is our spiritual life. So I'm already picking up that within our deeply spiritual community, which is awesome. And so just having a sense of a connection to a higher self, and being able to kind of facilitate that connection through different practices, rituals, communities, and just staying and being able to keep that as a part of our day-to-day living.
can you just say that again because I stepped out a little bit.
Yeah, no problem. So yeah, just when it comes to these four dimensions of like our wellness or our balance, right? Is there an area that you feel you're more tapped in with, or is there an area that you feel like, ooh, I could probably use some work there? Like, what are these kind of aspects to you?
Okay. When I said balancing work and life, um, equating it like having a family, you know, having a family is enough for any person. You know, that's why um, some persons are not able to kind of or for those people, let me put it because it affects me. Let me put it to this way: like those that have family and still going to school, is a struggle. It's not as if we have anything like we have. I have enough information. There's I have enough information, but that's balance is what we do every day. We try to balance it because there's a saying that when you start having kids, one self development stops. So for one to break that rule is a struggle, you know, because you're taking care of the family, taking care of everything, including you continue your own life. So that is what I mean, the balance. So it's a daily balance that I do every day. I put things in place that works for me.
Yeah. No, absolutely. No, thank you for sharing that, Miss Rachel, because that's definitely, I mean, I think we can all relate to that in some shape or fashion, whether you're, you know, holding down a family or not. That work-life balance is crazy. And then, as you mentioned, when you're goal oriented, such as yourselves, trying to maintain and keep a focus around that as well is just like another thing to think about. So I could definitely see where our mental lives can be really overwhelming at times. And when you've got too much happening in one dimension, some of these other aspects can kind of fall behind, right? So I can appreciate that. Thank you, Rachel. Anybody else want to reflect on one of these dimensions? Maybe there's one that you feel like you're thriving in, or there's one that you're like, you want to pay a little bit more attention to.
I think with me, it depends on the day
Mm-hmm.
because one day everything I could be in alignment with everything. I can do meditation. I could be going to church on Wednesday nights. There on Sundays. I'm very purposeful, but then it's like sometimes when other things happen, like you said, every area may be affected. Because it's like sometimes I've noticed when it's affected mentally, maybe that day it's like, okay, I'm going to push through. And then the next day or 2 days later, you're more emotional, depending on what it may be, about. And then it's like physically, oh, I don't want to really go and work out today, even though I know I should be working out. But I'm mentally drained, so now I'm physically drained, emotionally drained. You know what I mean? And I've noticed when I had that season, because I just literally was in that season with so much going on in life, that I had to take a break for self. Like I was there,
Yes.
and I didn't talk to anybody but my parents because I'm like, I just need a break. And some people are like, well, you need a friend. Like, no, I don't need anybody but God and my parents. Because it was just there's so much going on. And like after I had that week of break, I was like, oh, I feel more like myself now. Now I
Yeah.
can go back into meditation. Now me and my daughter can go for a walk. Now I can do, more. I feel more refreshed and more motivated now
Mm-hmm.
in that break. So it's like when you need to step away to find that balance. And then I'm able to look at my budget like, okay, maybe I spent too much last week on Starbucks. Like that. I can actually have that. I have a fresh mind
Yeah.
to look at the things that last week were like, didn't even have a chance to do because I mentally was not there.
Right.
So I think it's just, learning and learning more about who you are and what you can bear. And like you said, taking time for yourself. And once I took that break for just self and didn't talk to anyone, I was like, oh, I need to do this more.
Okay, okay, yes, yes. Thank you so much for sharing that, Chanel. And I love that you did that, and that you had, and that you were able to kind of get back to a place of like, first of all, just like restedness, and being able to see like how when you come from a rested place or from like a refreshed place, like you just kind of show up better in the world, right? Like it's like I can't do nothing for nobody if I'm not well, if I'm not good myself. I know we've all heard that. You can't pour from an empty cup, right? And so, also love that you were able to kind of identify that that's where you were at and already had the tools ready for what you needed in that moment. So, I love that. I love black women taking breaks, honey. Like I'm the number one. Girl, sit down somewhere.
Yes.
Not doing the most. Do the least. Just do the least. Give yourself permission to do the least sometimes. So thank you for that, Chanel. Um, and so I want to talk about one of the things that typically, I promise y'all like a little conversation about boundaries because the what I've seen in most groups, whether I'm working with women, men, leaders, just regular everyday folks, is our boundaries. And so much of our conditioning, especially as black folks, I'm gonna just say it, is that we gotta take so much, we gotta do so much just to get the bare minimum. And that really pushes us outside of our boundaries or what's really comfortable for us. And so I wanted to take some time to actually talk about this, and just, see the way they're showing up in our lives. And so there's a doctor, she's written a book, it's called Set Boundaries, Find Peace. Her name is Dr. Nadra Glover Tawwab. And she defines boundaries are expectations and needs that help you feel safe and comfortable in your relationship. Um, and then I have my own kind of like definition after like working with boundaries for a while is that my boundaries are my expectations and needs within relationships that support my authentic living. So a lot of times when we think about boundaries, we think about it in terms of no, right? Like no, you can't do this, no, you can't do that, and that can be it a lot of times. But we got to start from a place of yes, right? Like what does feel good for me? What does support who I am and what I want to be, and then kind of like moving from that base, right? So like Miss Sylvia shared in the beginning, like getting a divorce, right? Like there had to be a lot of moments in there where you were like, this doesn't feel good for me, but that's because you already knew what did feel good for you, right? And so being able to identify that first will help you kind of get through the, when you're saying no, you know why you're saying no, because you know that you deserve better, and you know what you're striving for. So I wanted to show some of the ways that our boundaries get tested. And so I'll leave this here, and you all just kind of let me know if any of these resonate for you, or if you've kind of like been in these scenarios before. And I'll just say really quickly, the worst case scenario of your boundaries just like being completely out of whack is when you're burnt out. Like you just can't really do anything for anybody. Chanel, it felt like that was maybe a little bit of what you were sharing, when you needed that space to step back. And I had a really bad burnout that it's taken me a full 2 years to recover from. So burnout ain't nothing to play with. And so I just wanted to offer you all these kind of symptoms or scenarios when you might be approaching that. So y'all let me know that any of these kind of speak to you. If you have experience with any of these.
I have had experience almost with every one of them. Recently, yes.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So we got to get on top of those boundaries.
Yeah. And I think that's why I had to take a break because even in the process of me taking a break from people, they will still contact me. And I'm like, hey, I'm not in the mood of really talking right now. And then they're like, well, what's wrong? Is it something that I can do? And I'm like, no, I just need my space. So it's like, I felt like I was setting a boundary to them to let them know I'm not always open for you to call and pour your concerns and worries on me when I have other things that I have going on within my life as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the people that love you, people that truly love you and ride for you, are not gonna make you feel guilty about that either, about taking that space it can take some practice. It can take some practice. So another part about having your boundaries intact is being proactive about them, and letting folks know ahead of time or before you even reach that point, right? Like what your tools are to kind of get folks to back up off you or change your environment. Because it's not always people. Sometimes it's the environment that you're in. Oh, I got you. I see this. What are your suggestions on creating boundaries? Yes, I'm about to talk about that next. Thank you, Brianna. I appreciate you. Does anybody else want to tap on any of these? Have y'all been in any of these scenarios?
Yeah, I think the one that resonates with me here, I have, you have no time for yourself. You know, with this work-life balance, I struggle to have time for myself. Like, before I could come here right now, I practically told everyone I'm going for a training. I'm going for a training. I'm going for a training. So just give me that time just to be alone, just to do this, just to focus, just to pay attention, just to, you know. Um, I know before the training was the hands on, will knock at the door. So that time for oneself is, I create. I ensure I create it because I need it. I need it to rebalance, to get that stability, that mental rest. So I make sure I have time. It can be when I'm taking my bath, I might just be there for 1 hour, 30 minutes. It's just a time to just have time for myself. What makes me feel comfortable, what makes me happy. It might just be okay, today we want to go for grocery. Nobody's following me. I just want to be alone. It's a time for me to relax. It's a time for me to just calm down, you know, being away from everybody. They are safe, I'm safe, you know. So that's how I create time for myself because if I don't do that, it's going to be hard.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Good for you, Rachel. Good for you. Oh, I feel like I overwhelmed up here twice. Yeah. Okay. I know one that used to come up for me a lot was, and I'm like, I'm a helpful person, right? Like I love being a resource for people. That's kind of just like one of the ways I show up in the world. But there was a time where I felt resentful for people asking for my help. Like, oh my goodness, here goes somebody else wanting something, and I, dang, it just started to be like, even though it's an honor in some ways, right? That people know that you can kind of help them get where they need to be, or be, somebody that they can vent to. It can be a lot sometimes, especially when everybody knows you for that. I would just be feeling like when when who's there for me when I need it, and always showing up for other people. And so I also recognize that sometimes that I was also contributing to that pattern, right? Like, if I'm always holding space, why would people not think to call to me? If I'm always saying yes, why wouldn't they? And so again, just kind of coming down to the ways that you got to show people how to treat you. You got to show people how to treat you, and definitely it can come in the day to day how we're showing up with folks. So we're sending signals even when we don't know it. So, um, so Brianna asked, what are some of the ways that we can kind of be on top of this and like protect our boundaries, right? So this isn't gonna go in order, but we don't roll with it because I couldn't get the animation right. But we don't roll with it. So, in the emotional camp, right, when it comes to that emotional dimensions of our lives, it comes down to emotions and our relationships with others. Um, y'all limit those dumping sessions, the ones that I just talked about. That friend that's calling you, that's always calling you, and always got a problem. Just kind of, limit those or eliminate them completely, right? You don't always have to have the answer, and a lot of times we don't realize we're actually creating. We're not, as much as we want to show up for that person, we're not creating space. We're not allowing space for them to learn to do it for themselves, right? So we become enablers in that way. So being mindful of those dumping sessions and kind of keeping them to a minimum in your relationships, because people got to figure their own stuff out. about the reciprocity in your relationship. So if you're the one that's always giving, 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 and this person is always taking, 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 you might want to check in with that relationship. And it's not always irreparable, right? Sometimes it just takes a conversation like, hey, I noticed that, when I'm in need, you're not really available. Whereas when you need something, I'm bending over backwards for you, right? And so that's another way our emotional life can kind of be taken over. Another way is, it's somewhat related to that, is like our emotional validation. So when we are, when we are expressing ourselves, if there's somebody in your life that's dismissive or just can't really hold it, that's just something to be mindful about. And maybe you have some friends that are really good and can reflect back with you and download with you, and then there are other friends that they just don't have it, right? For a long time, this is my very best friend. She'll tell you herself, she's like, I'm just not good with emotions. And, we went through a rough patch where I was like, trying to make her be this emotional person, and she wasn't. And so I eventually learned to kind of find other outlets, for instance, getting a therapist, as a way to kind of validate my emotions and work through hard things. And then another thing is having open communication in your relationships and with yourself, right? So I don't know if folks in here journal or do any kind of recording of like your day-to-day life, but that's another way that you can kind of keep communication open with yourself, and just being aware of and checking in with yourself, when it comes to like your emotional life on a day-to-day basis. So those are some tips for your emotional life.
I'd like to comment.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, it's funny when you're talking about, this emotional, and don't want men to let go. And I was sitting here as you were talking, before my husband died. One of the things that is about him and how our marriage um, was, and that was, he could always tell when I needed to stop. And he would say, that's it.
Okay.
Cut it. And I miss that because I am, you can be overwhelmed, with that. And just to know, just step away. It is okay. And he was very good about that.
Protecting his woman.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And so that's because I'm even sitting here now thinking, okay, I need to take a couple of days. I used to say, okay, I don't, I'm not going to be in communication with anyone. Just to have that simple. Because like right now, I am tired. I'm definitely tired of just finished our summer camp, a little kids, and then right back into our after school.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, no. I mean, it's good to have those relationships in our lives where, sometimes if we can't recognize it, but there's somebody close to us who can kind of call it in for us, right? And say, hey, babe, been a little off lately. Let me let me check in with you, right? And so I love that you all were able to cultivate that, and I hope there's other people. I'm sure there are other people that are close to you who can kind of tell when you're off, and it sounds like you're pretty in tune with yourself as well to be able to say, hey, I need to sit down. So if you needed any more encouragement, Miss Linda, to take a break, you got it. You're getting it right now. Okay, take your break. Cool. So,
talking about the dumping, uh, falling and creating those boundaries. That's one of the things that I did about 2 or 3 years ago that really changed my life because, and how I did it was, I created, so people would call me about business stuff. And so they would call all type of nights, anytime, and I'm walking them through things, and it would just take up so much time. So, I don't know if somebody told me or read it, but it was saying that whatever you're an expert in, what you can do is create a class for people. So if they need help starting their business, I created that class. And so what that did was the people who were serious paid for it and got the class. But then the people who weren't serious, I noticed the cost. I got a lot of less calls, where somebody I'm walking you through your start your business. Well, it's the same thing where I can do it as a group instead of individually doing it and taking an hour and a half or 2 hours 20 times. So that was something that helped me create that boundary. And then it ended up being a financial blessing as well. But it kept me from just giving and pouring out without, being replenished.
Yeah, I heard that. That's gold right there. That's gold. Thank you, Anthony. Thank you. Yeah, you making me think back to how I started my own business because that's actually a big part of what helped me start doing what I do now. It's like people always wanting advice on how to get better, feel better, and I'm like, you know what? I should probably turn this into something. So thank you, Ebony. That's excellent.
Yeah,
Um,
I
oh
want to
yeah.
share something
Mhm.
about the secret sharing. Yeah, there are moments in one's life when one just feel like talking to someone, sharing is our own secret with this person. Why do they do that, or why do I do that? Sometimes someone you can trust, someone that can reason with you, see what you're talking about, someone that can counsel you and mentor you and lead you through the right path. Why do I do that sometimes or most times? Because we need it. If we need it to succeed in whatever we are doing, we need our mentorship. It could be either in marriage, schooling, work, relationship. We need mentor. We need mentor because there are some breaking moments and you just need to let out. When you let it out, you feel okay. When you let it out, you rebound to yourself. You get yourself back. You have mental health. You have your mental health back. Not letting it out can cause a whole lot. Can cause a whole lot. So I practice that secret sharing with a friend that I know. We're in the same category. We are sharing the same experience. They are going through the same what I'm. They've passed through what I'm going through. They have that right advice to give to me. That when I look at it, I say, yeah, I think this is why, and this is what I need to do. So it helps me to continue to fight because life is a struggle, to continue to raise, to continue to hustle, to continue believing, doing better, and overcoming every challenge. Sharing secrets to someone you know you can trust.
Awesome. Happy you have that space. That's Rachel. That's important. Okay. All right. So we're gonna move on to our mental space, right? So again, thinking about our thought life, our self-image, our perceptions and patterns, right? Like the way that we're engaging with the world. And so, one of the ways that we can find ourselves out of whack or out of balance is with our media, the media that we're taking in. What kind of music are you taking in? What kind of TV are you watching? What kind of programs are you watching? What you scrolling on social media, right? Like all of these things have an impact on our mental life. So when we're thinking about like, mental clutter down here, right? Sometimes it's that feed. It's that darn TikTok feed got you all over the place on top of what's just going on in your day life, right? So just thinking about, how much you're taking in, because that's also a part of your diet, right? So how much you're taking in on a regular basis, and maybe finding. Um, I haven't been the best. I haven't been reading as much as I used to, but reading, you can be selective about what you're reading, the programs that you're watching, all of that, and trying to keep those things in alignment with the direction that you're trying to go in or the balance that you're trying to maintain. Um, so another way that Ms. Rachel, you actually just kind of touched on this is when it comes to our mental life, like being able to release your ideas, to release what's in your mental brain, right? And so being able to have somebody to bounce your ideas off of, as you mentioned, like having a mentorship, having mentors in your life, like that's another way to kind of keep yourself in balance when it comes to your mental life and having peers. You all are a group of entrepreneurs. Being able to bounce ideas, being in spaces like this where you're able to bounce ideas off of each other and be validated in that is another way to kind of um, keep your mental sharp and balanced. Um, Another thing, and this is something, I don't know if we have any overthinkers in here. Of course, we don't have any overthinkers in here. But rumination, that thing will creep up on you. You're thinking about the same scenario over and over again, how it could have looked different this way, and that thing will sit on your head for 3, 4 days, weeks, months at a time. And we just want to be mindful when we're doing that, and have a way to redirect your thoughts, right? So it's just not useful to keep turning that thing over and over again. We talked a little bit before about releasing things from the past. You gotta build a skill around that, and it took me a while to do that as well. But like if I noticed I was thinking about this, like I would get off of work meetings and I'd be like, oh, I should have said this, I should have said that, or have an interaction with somebody that was kind of funky, and just be thinking about it all night. I'm losing sleep, and the moment has passed. I promise you, they sleep. They ain't worried about me, right? And so just being mindful, like when we find ourselves ruminating or just keep thinking the same thought over and over again. That's kind of a way to notice that maybe my I need to clean up my mental mind a little bit. And then another way is making sure that we're advocating for ourselves, speaking for yourself, because holding in, those moments that passed where you felt like you were not properly cared for, or somebody just, didn't honor you in the way that you wanted, and you let that moment pass. And it does happen, right? Don't beat yourself up about it, but trying to build a muscle around speaking up for yourself, so that you don't have to go home with those missed opportunities to advocate and honor yourself. So these are some of the ways that you can kind of be on top of, and all of these things, right? When they're together, or not needing to create that mental clutter that leads to all the other kind of imbalancing, right? So when your mind is all, and it's like, y'all, one time I missed my whole light bill. There was so much going on in my head. Came home to a dark house. I was like, how did this happen? And I just had to sit back and think around. Like, oh wow, like there's just been so many things going on in my life. I actually let a bill get away from me the first time. And you deal with Duke, it's a whole lot trying to get your power back on. So yeah, these are the ways that you kind of lead to other kind of lead to other um, expressions. Your mind is too cluttered. Um, so So another, another aspect that we have is our spiritual life, right? So I know we have a lot of women of faith in the group. I love that. I think company. And so some of the ways that we can, be attentive to, be mindful of our spiritual life is, our spiritual rituals, whatever that looks like to you. And I think especially when it comes to our spiritual lives, a lot of us have come from backgrounds that can be kind of rigid about it, right? So you want to have grace for yourself in this area, especially because it's real easy to kind of slip into this space of, of essentially damning yourself, and that's not what we're trying to do. But just making sure that we have those tools available to us, whether it's prayer, meditation. Some people do yoga, like candles, whatever it is that kind of keeps you in alignment, and making sure that we're folding those into making sure that we're integrating that into our lives as well. Um, and so, okay, I see your note, Brianna. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna try to wrap this up. There's a lot to get through. Let's talk a lot about here around like our self-development goals, right? So I'm gonna skip around a little bit, y'all. So our self-development goals too. So that's another way